Despite never having seen the New Adventures of He-Man cartoon, I have to say I overall like the design of He-Man and Skeletor in that show. So when they announced that Target was going to be having an exclusive version of that design as part of the Masterverse line, I was pretty excited. Now he's in hand, so let's go ahead and see how he is on today's deceptibot9 reviews. Let's get it! How's it going, everyone? deceptibot9 here, and thank you as always for joining me here on the channel for another Masterverse review. Before we get too far into it though, I'd like to ask, if you like what you see, go ahead and leave me a like. Plus, if you like what you see and you want to stay tuned for all of the future content that I have planned, go ahead, subscribe as well. It does really truly mean a lot to me. Plus, if you want to find me anywhere else on the internet, you can find me on Twitter at deceptibot9, on TikTok at deceptibot9, and on Instagram at deceptibot9 reviews. So, with all that set up out of the way, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Masterverse New Adventures He-Man. Alright, here's a closer look at the Masterverse New Adventures He-Man and everything that he comes with. And we can just see off the top, I think he looks really cool. I do like the design. Preface, I know there's some people who do not like this design, thinking it's a bold departure from what He-Man should be, but overall, for a sort of space Star Wars-y type He-Man, I think he looks really, really cool. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of the details on the figure itself. All right, coming up at the head sculpt, it looks all right. I mean, I don't think it's terrible. I wish there was a different expression on this face because I'm not quite sure what expression this is supposed to be. But, I mean, for the face, for the most part, I mean, it's all right. Nothing too crazy there. What I do really like is the hair. I think the hair is really cool. It swoops around over here and comes into a little ponytail on the back, which I think is really neat and I love as a guy with a ponytail. Moving down here, we get some nice over-the-shoulder armor, which looks really cool. It's done in this nice gold with a little bit of red highlights here and around on the strap. Chest and the arms, these are all sort of standard Masterverse arm and chest pieces, all the muscle with the belly button and the pecs and all that, and the muscle on the arms, yada, yada, yada. It's all pretty standard there. This piece right here, the shield holder, I believe is just a straight reuse from the New Eternia Battle Armor He-Man. If it's not a straight reuse, it looks very, very similar to that. On this side, new gauntlet piece as far as I'm aware. I think it looks really solid. I think it's a little bit of a cool design there. Coming down to the belt, we see the H He-Man logo here on the belt, which it's an interesting logo for sure, but I don't know that I hate it. And with some nice red pieces there around and on the back as well. Coming down to the legs, the leg pieces up here are kind of the standard Masterverse leg muscle details, but they're done in all blue to represent, obviously, his amazing blue pants. Coming down to the shins here, we've got these nice gold gauntlet, or are they called gauntlets if they're on the legs? I don't know. You know what I mean. Nice leg armor pieces here. I like the design of them overall. Kind of these little spiky pieces that look like kind of like a lightning bolt as well, which looks really cool. Plus, nice gold sort of not marbleizing, but nice gold paintwork going down all the way across there. So, I mean, overall, for the most part, he's pretty standard Masterverse detail and design. So if you like it, I think you'll like the figure overall. But let's go ahead and show off some of those accessories that we saw in the 360. So first off is, of course, the Power Sword. See, I really don't know much about New Eternia stuff, so let me know down below if you do. Is this still called the Power Sword, or is it called something different? Because I really don't know. I would assume that it's the Power Sword because you can't really be He-Man without the Power Sword. But anyway, it does sheath in the back here. Nice gold little sheath there. And detail on it, I mean, there's not much detail on it here, just some, sort of handle details around there. And it's done in a nice gold, but I do really, really like the green blade. I think it looks super, super cool overall, and I really, really like how it turned out. It fits nicely in his hand as well. And speaking of hands, he does also just come with a second grip hand. So if you want to have a grip hand on this side, you could, and a second fist hand. So if you want to have a fist hand on that side, you could, which we always love to see. And as we saw in the turnaround as well, he does have his laser shield, I guess is what this would be. I think it looks really cool, actually, though. I do like the design up here. This is done all, as you can see, in a translucent green plastic. Looks really nice, just a peg on the back, and of course that peg fits into the hole for on the side of the gauntlet, so it looks like it's emitting from his wrist, which I do really, really like, and he can be super armed up. Now, also, as we saw, he does come with 2 of his Galactic protection armor pieces. So first one is the helmet, which it looks nice. It does look really nice, not being on the figure, in my opinion. We'll talk about that here in a minute, with some little details around it, some divots here on the top and some speckles on the back. The chest piece as well, it looks nice here. It doesn't look as bad on the figure as what I think the helmet does, but we'll talk about that in a minute. It looks really cool. It's got some nice molded detail here on the front, some of this sort of chest detail with a little bit of silver paint and red paint here going on, and some molded technical detail on the back here as well, with a spot for the sword to go. And as per usual for Masterverse, putting them on and off, it's just with these traditional straps. So you can slap on the chest armor there, which, again, like this, I don't think he looks that bad. I think he looks pretty cool. I still do prefer the shoulder sling, but here's where he starts to get a little goofy. You take the helmet, plop it on there, and it looks, for some reason, on his head, it just looks so big and so goofy. I'm sure there's some people who do like this aspect of design. His ponytail sticks out, which, of course, I love, but I think if I'm going to display him with the armor, I am not going to display him with the helmet on. Just the way it sits on there makes it look kind of big and kind of goofy. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other armor back on, and here we go. He's back, ready to talk about articulation. It is fairly standard for Masterverse articulation, but there's one thing on here that makes me really, really happy, and I hope becomes standard across many Masterverse figures. So up here on the head, it's just on a ball joint as per usual, goes all the way around. It can tilt back and forth, can go up a little bit, not much, because it starts to get blocked by the ponytail, and it can go down a really good amount as well. Arms do go all the way around at the shoulder. They go out about that far, swivel at the bicep. They have, let's get the shield out of the way, they have the double elbow as well, getting you to bend that far. This wrist swivels back and forth and hinges vertically, or I guess horizontally, as do all the wrists except for this one. This particular grip hand hinges downward and upward, so it's got the vertical hinge from the San Diego Comic-Con / the 40th anniversary He-Man, which I love to see, and I hope it just continues to be that on every He-Man figure and many other figures that we get as well. I love the vertical hinge for figures with swords and staffs and such. So anyway, let's keep moving on. He does have the torso ball joint right there. He does swivel right here all the way at the waist. Legs go forward that far. They go backward that far. They go out all the way that way, so he can get pretty much a full split. Good for you, He-Man. And swivel at the thigh, plus the double knee joint down there at the leg as well, plus, of course, the swivel at the shin, and swivel and pivot on the feet. So, New Adventures He-Man is just as posable as every other Masterverse figure, so let's see how he looks with some others, shall we? Alright, here is New Adventures He-Man with a couple other Masterverse He-Men, some of my favorites. Obviously, this is not all of the Masterverse He-Men because that would be a lot, but we got New Eternia and 40th anniversary over here, so good looking group of He-Men, if you ask me. And since we don't have the Skeletor to go with this He-Man quite yet, although we do know he is coming some point later this year, we still got to see how he looks with a Skeletor, this one being the Comic-Con exclusive, which is still my favorite. So, and just to see, here's how New Adventures He-Man looks with a standard Origins He-Man. I don't have the Origins version of New Adventures He-Man, although I wish I did. I just don't want to pay that much for that box set, even though a couple of those figures in there I do really want. I just can't justify going that much for that box set. All right, that's going to do it for my closer look at Masterverse New Adventures He-Man. So let's go ahead and toss it back on up to me for my final thoughts. So what are my final thoughts on New Adventures He-Man here? Well, I think just overall he is a really solid Masterverse entry. I think he's a really solid figure all the way around. Nothing crazy, nothing like groundbreaking or spectacular is done with the figure, just really standard overall. But he's really solid. I love the accessories. I think if you're gonna like if you like the design, you are probably going to like this figure if you're in on Masterverse, right? I just think overall he's a really, really solid entry. If you like Masterverse, if you like New Adventures, go ahead and grab him. So guys, that is going to do it for my full review of Masters of the Universe, Masterverse Target exclusive, New Adventures He-Man. Go ahead, let me know down below your thoughts on this figure. He started popping up in Targets around the country this week, as well as being shipped out from Target.com. So if you want him, he should be pretty readily available to grab. But go ahead and let me know your thoughts on him down there as well. I want to talk all things New Adventures Masterverse with you guys. And of course, you guys, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you very, very much. I do really, truly appreciate it. And as always, I have been your host, deceptibot9. Thank you as always for joining me here, and see you guys next time.